Naseem the boy told anyone who'd listened then that one day he would be back to prove himself as one of the best of all time. And that time has now come. The journey's been spectacular and rewarding. But as Adam Smith reminds us, in America so far, Naseem has been more unpredictable than ever.
Home is where the heart is for Naseem Hamed. The prince reigns supreme when fighting in Britain. Yet he's had a bumpy ride on American soil. His visits to the land of opportunity have given us crazy nights every time.
The fights that he's been in with the States, if you take Kevin Kelly, Augie Sanchez, those type of fights, have been really exciting for the viewer and for the live spectator.
The US launch in New York was a huge media drive. Bright lights, big city until fight time. Trouble outside the ring, danger inside against Kevin Kelly. But on the brink of defeat, that princely power saves the day.
If you don't keep me down and I get up, that's the worst thing. I'm knocking you out, please. And that's what happened.
The Atlantic City experience was a disaster.
I don't like you, Colin. You're a fool. And I'm speaking to you from my heart.
His tasteless ring walk and poor points win over Wayne McCulloch made this a Halloween nightmare, and Hamed was scolded by the press. His third American trip was to Detroit, but his unification clash with Cesar Soto turned into an ugly brawl with unbelievable moments.
Complete mess, complete mess. I mean, Cesar Soto, I don't know what he brought that night, but I don't know what kind of boxing he brought that night, but it just made it a terrible fight.
Last August, Hamed travelled to Connecticut, and in the huge Foxwoods casino, the Prince had a major scare. Defensive weaknesses shown again, but a dramatic conclusion to the roller coaster with Augie Sanchez.
I was vulnerable, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I've been vulnerable. But the fact is, when I get my head together in that ring and it's bang right, and I hit him bang right, it's a different fight.
So what thrills are in store for his West Coast debut, and which better city to shine in than Las Vegas? Hamed predicts an explosion against his hardest opponent yet.
A knockout, a flush one, a clean one. I'm not talking about a stumbler. I'm talking about out.
He can do that. Straight to Las Vegas. Glenn McCrory and Ian Darke have been ringside for most of the big moments in Naseem's career, and this is the biggest of them all.
Well, it's true, Naseem Hamed has struggled in America, but he has captured the imagination of the boxing public, Glenn.
Yes, he has, but his performances have never been comfortable. He has looked a bit vulnerable when he's been in America.
We just bumped into Larry Merchant, the American voice of boxing. He says Barrera wins the fight, and he's been right before about some notable fights.
Yes, he said Shane Mosley was going to beat De La Hoya. Mosley also a fighter moving up.
Of course, looking around this week, just looking at the two fighters, Barrera looks big enough for the move to featherweight, and Hamed, in his workout the other day, I thought he looked almost elfin-like.
He did. He looked very small, but I think Hamed's wanted to make the weight comfortably. He's come down well in advance.
You go for Barrera, don't you?
I do go for Barrera. I think Barrera's got a perfect style for Hamed, with his sharpness, with his speed.
Yeah, I think Hamed's power is going to tell in the end. I think when Barrera's taken about 8 rounds of it, he will start to wield. I go for Hamed late or on point. Meanwhile, there's been some strange...
...of both fighters as each weighs up the other. Barrera has been stalking Naseem for 6 years. Now at last he's got him in his sights.
It's a big fight for me, fight with Naseem Hamed, because Hamed is the best fighter pound by pound in 126 pounds. Naseem Hamed is very fast. She moves all the time. She is very difficult, but always very strong.
Naseem's leaving nothing to chance either. He has studied this opponent in detail, like no other, and he really knows how big the threat is.
He's the most dangerous out there. Do you know more dangerous than Marco Antonio Barrera? For me, he's very strong. He's very durable. I mean, I see him get hit against Morales and Kennedy McKinnon, all them fighters. And he's got a good chin. He's got some great combinations, and he punches great to the body. He's one of the best body punchers out there, right down. But great fighters box each other. Great champions box each other. So the result should be one big explosion.
Only
Only the very big fights draw crowds like this just for the weigh-in. And English fans who've flown to Vegas in their hundreds outnumbered Barrera's Mexican supporters. The atmosphere was tingling. Then to business. First on the scales was Marco Antonio Barrera in his first major fight at featherweight.
125 and 1/2 pounds, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Barrera, who's done special weights work to build up his body, still half a pound inside the 9-stone limit. Then it was Hamed's turn.
126 pounds on the nose, Prince Naseem Hamed.
Right on the button for Hamed, who seems to have prepared superbly. And those around him say they've never seen him this wired up.
All I've got to say is I'm just astounded with the amount of English that have come out. I'm like, wow. But you know what? You've come for an unbelievable, wicked reason. And the reason is to see your champion, get his 5th belt, God willing, inshallah, in style.
As they posed together, it was noticeable that Barrera is significantly taller. But is he strong enough at this weight? And can Hamed handle the heat of Barrera's pressure? We'll soon know the answers. Many more fascinating questions.
Title fights between them. Let's take a look inside the arena here. It's going to be a near sellout in there tonight. Not many tickets left at all, and Hamed planning a ring entrance as ever, though he says this time the fight is what matters. It's a Vegas theme. There are going to be flying Elvis Presleys, would you believe? Or should that be Elvi? I'm not quite sure. With wooden hearts, presumably, Glenn.
Probably looks like it's going to be something special, doesn't it?
And I think he's even going to be riding on some kind of a swing across the arena. But all that is just hors d'oeuvre for the fight itself, which should be an absolute spectacular. Do join us.
This little man is our biggest personality.
From Sheffield, England, presenting Prince Naseem
Right at the top of the showman charts is Naseem Hamed, as far as any sport, not just boxing. You know, he brings the crowd, he brings that little air of extra excitement to the arena. He's the business, isn't he? I mean, he is exciting to watch.
And it's finally time to become king of Las Vegas, the fun-filled city seemingly made for Naseem Hamed. It's the debut we've all been waiting for.
The West Coast needs me now. You know, I don't know if they're ready for me yet, but the best be, because I'm bringing it. I'm bringing all the drama. I'm bringing all the drama, the excitement. I'm bringing, like, the atmospheres I've told you, the electric atmosphere that I bring.
Vegas is made for Naseem Hamed. I mean, that is the area that he wants to be in. He's bright lights, he's glitzy, he's flash, he's got everything that Vegas is.
He's been a showman from the start, with his fleet of cars, love of the camera, and of life, his exuberance and total self-belief. That confidence has made 35 perfect flips into the ring, but he's also backed up his show with electrifying performances. Now the perfect stage on which to perform his well-rehearsed act. How will he travel to the ring this time, and how will he excite us when he gets there? Vegas and Barrera await the razzmatazz.
When Naz walks into the ring, the lights in Vegas will appear dimmer because the real star will be at the MGM Grand that night.
Barry said it.
The young Sheffield fighter had already established himself at world level. And although a recent survey of American boxing writers omitted Naseem Hamed from the all-time featherweight top 10, he believes this fight alone will secure his place in history.
To work so hard and to have something in your heart from the age of 7 and visualize the goal and then basically live a dream that you've always wanted and then come up to the height of your career of where it's getting in the most defining moments. It'll be fantastic to be seen as one of the great fighters that ever lived.
I think he'd probably pay you your due respect as well, Barry. You're in the hunt, of course. What about Naseem and a place in history?
Yeah, I think this fight will set him on that road. It's hard to compare eras. It always is difficult. But those fighters that were mentioned by Craig, they're enormous fighters, incredible fighters, and it will take a lot for him to replace their name in history.
Is Naseem in the hunt, Duke?
He's undoubtedly in the hunt. Whether he actually gets there or not is another question. But I feel if he can overcome Barrera tonight and then go on to fight some of the other great featherweights that are in and around the world, he's definitely on the way.
Spencer, your thought on that?
I believe that he deserves to go down in history as one of the all-time featherweight greats. If he beats Barrera, then he's cleaned up his division, and to me, that's enough. He's been champion for 5 years already, and he'll deserve that.